phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
What it do, YouTube? B. Kelly back again with another banger video. And in today's video, y'all, I am going to be talking about every quarterback that was taken in the 2022 USFL draft and talking about how they got to that point. Before I move on with the video, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, as we are on the road to 10K. Now let's get into it. The first team I'm going to be talking about is the Michigan Panthers. They drafted Shea, Patterson, and Paxton Lynch. I'm going to be talking about Shea Patterson first, who was the #1 overall selection in this entire draft. Now, Shea Patterson was the #1 quarterback coming out of high school in his recruiting class, and he was originally starting off at Ole Miss. He would spend 2 seasons at Ole Miss, where he started off as a backup quarterback and eventually became a starting quarterback when he was a sophomore, but he did have some injury issues as a Rebel. He was there only for 2 seasons because once Ole Miss was having an NCAA investigation, he would end up entering the transfer portal and going to Michigan. In his time at Ole Miss, he completed 61% of his passes, threw for 3,139 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions in 10 games played. He would spend the rest of his career as the starting quarterback from Michigan, and he had a lot of hype going in as their starting quarterback. He was not a bad quarterback by any means, he was pretty solid, but he was pretty disappointing knowing how much hype he had coming out of high school and that he was the #1 quarterback in his class. He would finish his time at Michigan in 26 games played, completing 60% of his passes, throwing for 5,661 yards, 45 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. He would go on to be undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft, and he would be picked up by the Kansas City Chiefs as an undrafted free agent, but he would not last to the preseason, and he would have a short stint in the Canadian Football League and the Spring League. And he's now with the Michigan Panthers of the USFL. The second quarterback taken by the Minnesota Panthers was Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch was a 3-year starting quarterback at Memphis, and he was a straight beast there. In his career, he completed 63% of his passes, threw for 8,863 yards, 59 touchdowns, and only 23 interceptions, and he had a great final year there in 2015 with only 4 interceptions, 28 touchdown passes, and he threw for 3,776 yards. He was seen as a top quarterback going into the 2016 NFL Draft and was even taken in the first round by the Denver Broncos. Paxton Lynch's time in the NFL was very short and disappointing, especially for a first-round pick. He would only play in a career of 5 games, starting in 4 of them with a 1-3 quarterback record. He completed 62% of his passes in his career, threw for 792 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He would go on to have a little stint with the Seahawks, Steelers, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and is now with the Panthers of the USFL. On to the next team, we have the Tampa Bay Bandits. They drafted Jordan Ta'amu and Brady White. First, with Jordan Ta'amu. Jordan Ta'amu played college football at Ole Miss after transferring from a junior college. He was originally a backup quarterback in 2017, but he would come in as a starting quarterback after Shea Patterson went down with injury. He played in 7 games where he was solid and showed a lot of potential. In 2018, he was their starting quarterback for good, and he had a solid season. He improved quite a bit from the year prior, throwing for almost 4,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions, as well as 6 rushing touchdowns on the ground. In his career as a Rebel, he threw for 5,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, while completing almost 65% of his passes. He would go on to be undrafted in the 2019 NFL Draft, and he's had times with the Texans, the Battlehawks of the XFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Detroit Lions, the Chiefs again, the Lions again, the Washington Football Team, and the Carolina Panthers. The second quarterback they selected is yet again another Memphis quarterback, just like Paxton Lynch, but this time it's Brady White. Brady White originally started off at Arizona State before transferring to Memphis, where he was a 3-year starter. And Brady White at Memphis was a very underrated quarterback, and he was very productive as well. In his career at Memphis, he completed 62% of his passes, threw for 10,690 yards, 90 touchdowns thrown, and 30 interceptions. He went undrafted in the 2021 NFL Draft, and he never really got a shot with the NFL. This is his first big opportunity. On to the next team, we have the Philadelphia Stars, who selected Bryan and Cookus. They first selected Bryan from Occidental College, who had a good career there. He completed 63% of his passes, threw for 9,073 yards, 77 touchdown passes, and only 22 interceptions. He went undrafted in the 2018 NFL Draft, but he's been in the Canadian Football League most of his pro football career, and this is yet again another big opportunity for him. The second quarterback they drafted was Cookus from Northern Arizona University. Now, he was at Northern Arizona for a total of 5 seasons. He had 2 years when he went down with injuries pretty early on, but when he was healthy, the guy was easily one of the best FCS quarterbacks around. In his career at Northern Arizona, he threw for 12,082 yards, 105 touchdown passes thrown, and only 21 interceptions, while completing 62% of his passes. He went undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft, and he's had short stints with the Giants, the Spring League, the Broncos, Vikings, Raiders, and the Canadian Football League. With the next team, we have the New Jersey Generals, who drafted Ben Holmes and DeAndre Johnson. The first quarterback they took was Ben Holmes from Tarleton State. He originally started his career at the JUCO level before ending up at Tarleton State, where he was a 2-year starting quarterback. In his time at Tarleton State, the guy was a straight-up baller and one of the top FCS quarterbacks when he was playing. He only had 9 interceptions in 2 seasons played, including only 3 in his final year there. He threw for a total of 5,997 yards, while completing 59% of his passes and 62 total touchdowns through the air in only 2 seasons. He would go on to be undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft, and he had times with the Indoor Football League with the Arizona Rattlers and the Sea Lions of the Spring League. And he's now getting his first huge opportunity with the New Jersey Generals. The next quarterback they selected was DeAndre Johnson from Texas Southern. You may recognize the name. He was in Last Chance U Season 2 from East Mississippi Community College. He started off at Florida State, then EMCC, where you saw him in Last Chance U Season 2. After EMCC, he transferred to Florida Atlantic, where he was a backup for 2 seasons, including 1 year where he had blood clot issues, and the second season he never really got a real shot for the starting job. He would eventually close his college career at Texas Southern, where he was their starting quarterback, and in that one lone season, he threw a total of 9 touchdown passes, 1,575 passing yards, and 3 interceptions. On to the next team, we have the Houston Gamblers, who took Clayton, Thorson, and Kenji Bahar. The first quarterback they selected was Clayton Thorson out of Northwestern, who was a 4-year starting quarterback. In his career at Northwestern, he threw for 10,731 yards, completing 58% of his passes, 61 touchdowns through the air, and 45 interceptions. He was drafted in the 5th round in the 2019 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. In his NFL career, he would spend time with the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants. The next quarterback they selected was quarterback from Monmouth, Kenji Bahar. In his career at Monmouth, he ended up throwing for 9,642 yards, 70 touchdowns, and 34 interceptions, while completing 62% of his passes. He went undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft, and he spent some time with the Baltimore Ravens. On to the next team, we have the Birmingham Stallions that took Alex McGough and Jamar Davis Smith. The first quarterback they selected was Alex McGough from FIU. In his career at FIU, he was a 4-year starting quarterback, and he was a very solid player who completed 60% of his passes, threw for 9,091 yards, 65 touchdown passes, and 37 interceptions in his career. He went on to be drafted in the 7th round of the 2018 NFL Draft by the Seattle Seahawks. In his pro career, he has spent time with the Seahawks, Jacksonville, Texans, the Seahawks again, and now the Stallions. The next quarterback they selected was Jamar Davis Smith from Louisiana Tech. In his time at La Tech, he threw for 9,523 yards, completing 59% of his passes, throwing 51 touchdowns, and only 21 interceptions. He went undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft and spent time with the New England Patriots and the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the CFL. On to the next team, we have the Pittsburgh Maulers, who drafted Kyle Lauletta and Josh Love. The first quarterback they selected was Kyle Lauletta from Richmond. In his career at Richmond, Lauletta was a very talented quarterback and someone who was a straight-up beast. In his career at Richmond, he would go on to throw for 10,465 yards, completing 63% of his passes, 73 touchdowns through the air, and 35 interceptions. He was taken in the 4th round of the 2018 NFL Draft by the New York Giants, and he would go on to be kind of a journeyman, playing with the Giants, Eagles, Falcons, Browns, Jacksonville, and Browns again, and now with the Maulers. The next quarterback they selected was quarterback from San Jose State, Josh Love. In his career at San Jose State, he completed 58% of his passes, threw for 7,206 yards, 43 touchdown passes, and 29 interceptions. He went undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft and had stints with the Rams and Panthers. The last team that we have in today's video is the New Orleans Breakers, who took Kyle Sloter and Zach Smith. The first quarterback they took was Kyle Sloter from Northern Colorado. He would only play one season at Northern Colorado, as he was previously at Southern Miss, where he was a backup quarterback. In his lone season at Northern Colorado, he had a good year where he threw for 2,665 yards, 29 touchdown passes, and 10 interceptions. He would go on to be an undrafted player in 2017, and he's had stints with the Broncos, Vikings, Cardinals, Lions, Bears, and Raiders. The next quarterback they selected was Zach Smith from Tulsa. Now, Zach Smith started his career at Baylor, where he was there his first 2 seasons, and he played in a total of 19 games, completing 56% of his passes, throwing for 2,997 yards, 21 touchdown passes, and 15 interceptions. He would end up spending his last few years of college at Tulsa, where he completed 57% of his passes, threw for 5,226 yards, 32 touchdown passes, and 19 interceptions in his 2 seasons as a starting quarterback for the Golden Hurricanes. He would go on to be undrafted in the 2021 NFL Draft, and this is his first big opportunity of his pro football career. Well guys, if you made it this far in the video, drop something down in the comment section below. Who is your favorite USFL team? And before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe for more videos. B. Kelly out.